One, two, three. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen, Highway Commissioner, Cemetery Commissioner meeting of March 11, 2019. First order of business, rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. I trust everybody enjoyed the spring-like day today after the weather we've been receiving. On behalf of the board, Mr. Balkunas, I'd like to congratulate the Highway Department. I'd like to thank the foreman, Stanley Golinsky, who filled in admirably the recent absence of Acting Superintendent Vinnie Paletta, who, by the grace of God, came back to work Monday with his health. Good to see Vinnie back, and we certainly miss him.
A little bit thinner, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I just buy baggier shirts, so I look thinner. Second up on the agenda, acceptance of minutes, February 25th, 2019. What is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of February 15th, 2019.
February 25th,
February 25th, what did I say?
15th.
February 25th.
Motion made,
Second.
seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next up, we have an appointment to Insurance Advisory Committee. Following members: Ora Finn, elected; Laurie Smith, representing Town Hall; Jen Canoia, representing Town Hall; Chandler Boyd, representing the police; Chet Moroz, representing fire; George Petrinos, Water Sewer Highway; Mary Petro, Town Hall; Rosalie Zidzek, retiree. What is the board's pleasure?
I move that we reappoint these people?
I believe it's a new committee.
New appointments.
Is it an entirely new committee?
No, the committee's been around, but
How do you want to do this, Greg?
I would suggest you just vote to appoint for a one-year term.
All right, so I'm going to move that those people whose names are read be appointed to a one-year term on the Insurance Advisory Committee, effective this date and ending on, what do you want to do, Greg? June 30th,
No, I would suggest
calendar year?
maybe carried through the calendar year because we have to make some changes in the insurance policy, and this is the vehicle to do it.
Okay, and with the term ending December 31st, 2019.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next up is public comments, citizens' comments, informational. Anybody wishing to be heard that is not on the agenda tonight? Hearing none. Town Administrator report. Greg.
Board members, just an update. We received I received a notice of non-compliance on the town's stormwater permit. So we are under EPA. We're considered to be a small municipal stormwater discharge, and we have to file something called the Notice of Intent with US EPA. We've been given a deadline of doing that by April 1st. I've already reached out to our consulting engineer, and we'll have that done by April 1st. And then the next deadline that we have related to stormwater is June 30th. We have to submit an updated stormwater plan. So we're going to do both of those items between now and June 30th. And then going forward, we've been told that we need to increase our commitment to funding and studying stormwater. You may read about this with other cities and towns. So going forward, we'll have to establish a budget for stormwater. What we don't want to do is we don't want to upset the federal government and the state by not giving them the documentation that they want. As I said, I did receive a letter, so I want to let you know that we received it and steps have been taken to get what is necessary by the deadlines that they've set forth.
Greg, is that strictly Highway Department side, or is Water Sewer involved in that also?
Primarily Highway Department, so if you look at the original permit that was filed back in 2003, it placed the primary responsibility on the Highway Department. However, going forward, some of the things are above and beyond. You have to analyze water that's coming out of outflow pipes and determine if there's any contaminants in it. We'd have to have someone who's got some engineering background to be able to do that, but Highway Department's already done some of the work in talking with Vinnie in the past, and we'll marry that information together with what the EPA wants and give it to them by their deadlines.
Perfect.
That's it, I'll hold off on discussion of the bid item on item 9A.
Any questions for the town administrator? Accept the report as read. Next up, after a several-month hiatus, we have Around Town, focusing on local business. Tonight, we have Nikki Mead, the Inspired Arts Company, 44 Southbridge Road, Dudley, Mass. Please come up. Sure. Just take a moment to introduce yourself and give a little synopsis of what you do, and glad you're here
Sure.
tonight.
So my name is Nikki Mead. I own the Inspired Arts Company in Dudley, and we focus on dance, theater, and fitness. We actually opened in 2006 in Woodstock, Connecticut, and we made that our home for about 8 years, and then we moved into the mill on Schofield Ave that went under. And so with the help of these guys here, especially that guy, and Nelson Burlingame and Larry Tuttle, we were able to rebuild. We actually are in the MIVA building, so we occupy the entire top floor, which is about 7,500 square feet. And we've made that home for the past year. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary in a couple days.
Nice.
Yeah,
Congratulations. And
thank you.
thank you for coming to Dudley. So let me ask a question. What made you move from Connecticut to Dudley besides friendly faces and good people?
We were outgrowing our space, so we had like 3,000 square feet. Mrs. Luby behind me had her daughters enrolled for many, many years until they got old. Now they're in
I
college.
hope they're not listening. Hope they're not listening. I think their peers would
They're
be
big
kids.
babies now. They're big babies. Yeah, so I loved Woodstock. I love the area, and we were looking to buy a house. I have a small family myself, and we love the town of Dudley. We know several people that live here, and they had really great things to say about the school systems, and so we moved here, and luckily enough found a home for the studio as well. We wanted that similar Woodstock feel, and Dudley was, where we found it, so.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah.
Mr. Joseph?
You specialize in dance,
Yes.
theater, and what was the third thing?
Fitness.
What was it?
Fitness. Yeah. So when we were in the mill on Schofield Ave, the fitness studio was one of the businesses that had to find a new home. And we actually, Jen Looney and I, the previous owner, were looking for a place to find together, and we couldn't really find one. She was considering closing, so I reworked the plans for the building that I had found, and we included a room large enough for fitness. So we kind of took over the fitness studio, which was really great.
Yeah.
The name of your group, the company,
Yes.
is, and I find it interesting, is the Inspired Arts.
Yes.
What can we expect?
So many things.
Yeah, that's it. You know,
Yeah.
that's where I want to go.
Yep.
What can we expect from your company based on what I'm sure has been a very carefully chosen name?
Yes. I find myself looking at other studios in the area for inspiration. Not all good. I like to inspire the children with positive reinforcement, and I think that the studio is more than just dance for them. So when we were choosing the name, I just really wanted to find something that was uplifting, I find inspiration in so many things, as do they, and there are so many negative things now that we have TV and social media. You've probably heard of dance moms, which I find horrific. I would never talk to my clients, my parents, my students that way. So I just really wanted to have a positive name, to bring positive people, to bring positive change. You know, we're very lucky. We have so many great families. We strive to provide a decent upbringing at the studio. We're very careful with costume selection to make things very, just to keep the kids as innocent as possible. And our choreography and song selection goes along with that. So I feel like we are kind of pioneers in that regard. So many studios, you know, they go for the trophies and they go for the glam and the glitz, but we really want them to have a solid foundation of technique and strength and learning. We want them to be able to come to a studio that is grounded and just positive.
Yeah, it's really pleasing to hear the underlying thought process you went through to name the company. Do you anticipate working with the schools, particular grades or levels, with the library, as well as with the general public?
Yes, I'm lucky enough to only work, and I say only work. I work like 24/7, but I only teach in the afternoons. So I do volunteer at Dudley schools with both my time and my money. I donate to the PTO quite often because I just love them so much. We are going to be doing some things in the school. I just can't say right now. I don't know if it's a surprise or not. With dance. And right now we're actually going through the motions of connecting with Darcy's dancers, which are for special needs. We're trying to develop a special needs program within our studio so that we include all abilities.
I just, one comment and one final question, if I may.
Good.
The comment is that there is space in our community for what I hear you talking about. There is space.
We've got a great community. Everyone is very helpful, and
It really is.
yeah.
My question is, how can we, the town, help you?
I mean, just word of mouth is really great, but because we're rebuilding, I mean, you have seen what we went through. I was kind of ripping my hair out at one point. So we're definitely rebuilding. We definitely need to spread the word. Right now we have over 100 dancers and probably about 85 to 100 fitness members. But the rent is really high.
That's good, great.
So we're still building, rebuilding. Unfortunately, because of what happened and having to renovate a new studio halfway through the year, we lost a few families that did come back in September at the start of the new year. But, you know, just spread the word that we're lovely. We have 28 instructors, and we all hold the same values, and we just love what we do. So,
Well, the vernacular of my generation is simply, I think that what you're doing is cool.
yeah, we enjoy it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time put in, but worth it in the end. So we're doing something right, I think. We're good.
Forward to it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Could you tell us about the opening celebration you're going to have, well, the anniversary celebration on the 16th.
Yes.
I know you had reached out to the board asking for one of us to attend, and
Yeah.
after hearing you speak, I'm really glad I'm the one that did. You're doing a great thing there.
Yay, thank you.
My daughters went to a dance studio a few towns away, and it was kind of like Dance Moms, so
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I
We
didn't like that
hear,
at all.
I feel like our studio is sort of the melting pot.
Good deal.
for-
I do.
Yeah. So we do have recreational programs, so if they would like to take a class or 2 or 3 or 7, they're more than welcome to do that. But we also have an extended program where we have kids who compete. So this year we have 32 numbers that were competing regionally as well as nationally. And, we're trying to grow the program. But, yeah, so our studio is, I feel like we're the, what is that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? The dentist.
Oh.
Like the misfit
Yeah.
toys. I find that we get a lot of kids from other studios that are shy and super duper talented, but not in your face. So you wouldn't necessarily notice them unless you actually do your job as a dance teacher. So, yeah, I just feel like we've gotten a lot of kids from other studios, and they all have that same complaint where they don't feel like they're seen and respected. So I have to say that I'm really proud of my staff because they're very kind and very patient. And, we've brought these little people out of their shells, and it's just a great place to be.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I know I speak for the board, and I know Mr. Massey's not here, but we obviously wish you continued success.
Thank you.
And I like your opening, thanking town officials such as the chief and Nelson and others for
Did
really
you get the
helping you.
cookies? Did you eat the cookies? Did
What do
you,
you
or did
think?
they eat them all before you got to them? I have to say, I'm really impressed with how quickly everyone came together. Even that grumpy Nelson, wouldn't you say? That Nelson Burlingame, I love
A
him.
good crew.
Yeah,
He
that
was
that was
great,
gonna, my second
yeah.
half, I was gonna say, if people have been paying attention lately, other people in town have been taking some unwarranted shots at some of our town officials, and
It's a hard job.
we stand by them too, like things like this, they
Yeah.
not that they went out of their way, but it's nice to hear someone that understands the process and
Yeah.
got some assistance and got themselves 2 feet on the ground again. But we wish you nothing but continued success.
Thank you. Yeah, so if you want to come, it's this Saturday. We have the Les Mills program, which is a fitness program. It's very organized and wonderful to be a part of. I actually just passed my body step training last weekend, which was the hardest thing that I've ever done, and I feel like I'm pretty fit. So we actually, every 3 months, we do a new release. So this Saturday is the new release. So everyone gets their new tracks, they learn them, and they teach them. And it just that's our busiest day. Everyone loves the new songs and the new workout. So we figured we would, it kind of coincided perfectly. So that's what this Saturday is all about. We're going to have a toast of water, because we don't have a license. Yeah. So we've instructed everyone to bring their bottle of water. Don't tell the food permit people, okay?
The water's okay.
And yeah, so we're gonna just keep doing what we're doing.
Awesome.
Hopefully bigger.
We look forward to you coming in on your second anniversary, and your
Thank
third,
you.
and
Thank
many times you
you.
would like.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me here.
Anybody else, Greg?
Oh,
Nope,
oh,
nothing.
good.
Good. Thank you, Nikki.
so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
on item number 7, I would request that you hold on 7A, B, and C until such time as you've had an opportunity to decide on
I was
the
just
alcohol
gonna ask that.
license. Yeah, item 8.
Can we take item 10,
Where are we?
or take item 8 out of order?
Sure, or if you want to dispatch with
Which one?
Nichols College, which should take just a minute, and then it's the next thing up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Public hearing might take a few minutes longer, you don't know.
all right.
All right, with the board's permission and the apologies to the applicant for the other one. We're going to take 7E, subsection 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out of order.
Mr. Chairman,
Usually make Lynn earn her time here, but tonight she's coasting. How come, I have one question before we start. How come they don't send the photographer down to take pictures of you when you're doing all the work?
Yeah, I
As-
don't
as-
do all the work, I
Well,
just
all the
come
work for
to
this stuff.
talk about it.
As we've noticed in the past, the photographer does show up occasionally. No offense, Mr. Alumni. Mr. Joseph,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we grant Nichols College 7 outdoor orchestra entertainment licenses as follows. Friday, April 5th, 2019, 8:30 to 11 at the Copper Beach Quad. Thursday, April 18th, from 12 noon to 9 p.m. at the Copper Beach Quad. Third is the Bison Fest on Thursday, April 25th, from 12 noon to 3 p.m. at the Copper Beach Quad. But that will be for DJ music and dance. And then on Saturday, April 27th, from 11 a.m. until 12 midnight, with a concert beginning, running from 8 p.m. to midnight. Next, Friday, May 3rd, from 3 to 9 p.m., located at the Copper Beach Quad. And just so you know, that beach is B-E-E-C-H. We don't have a pond and a beach named Copper Beach, B-E-A-C-H, in town. Next is Saturday, May 4th, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. midnight at the Shamey Green, and that'll be for a dance. Just so you'll know, that's not just any dance. It's a foam dance. So hopefully it won't be breezy and the people can keep the foam
Or rainy.
on their bodies. Wednesday, May 8th, and through Friday, May 10th, in various locations to include the Copper Beach Quad, Shamey Green, and the athletic fields for the following celebration. May 8th, 5 to 10 p.m. for a Taste of Dudley. Thursday, May 9th, 3 to 5 p.m. for a recreation day, and 9 to 11 p.m. for a concert. Friday, May 10th, 12 noon to 3 p.m. for Throwback Day, and then 4:30 to 6:30 for a senior reception, and 9 to 12 for a one-night social. And then finally, Thursday, May 16th, 8 a.m., 5 p.m. at various locations to include Shamey Green, the Guest House Lawn, and Upper Campus Green, and that'll be for their Employee Appreciation Day.
so moved.
Second.
Second.
Did I mess anything up there?
Nope,
We got all the times right?
you got all the times right. The Bison Fest, just to the one happening on April 25th and April 27th. The reason why on April 27th we're going with an 11 a.m. to midnight is that they're going to be on the Chamois Quad if the weather's nice, and their music is going to be from speakers and things like that. The concert doesn't come in till 8 p.m., so that'll be live music at that point.
So is this Bison Fest a somber event, considering what happened to the bison statue?
I know.
No?
We're hoping to replace that bison statue pretty soon, so.
Okay. And can you tell us, because I know Kerry is wondering, and he's straining at the bit to find out, what is a foam dance? F-O-A-M.
I know that, Paul. I was going to ask, where was all this when I went to school?
Me
Cindy's.
too, me too.
Yeah, that's where it was, Rainbow Gardens.
Oh, Christ, you're an old man.
What it is we have a vendor that comes in and they have foam that they spray out in an area, and the students are dancing underneath it. So it's kind of like a paint dance. We've done paint dances in the past, but those have been in the auditorium. This is with foam, so it's outdoors for this one.
A foam dance.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I know it's not part of this discussion. What is the date of the graduation this year?
May 11th,
May 11th.
Saturday, May 11th, yeah. And that takes place at the DCU Center.
Okay.
So my only question, Lynn, is you obviously ran it by both public safety guys, they,
And,
staffing.
right, and Director Caulfield will be talking with Chief Wayner about Dudley PD details and so forth for these events. We're just trying to get the outdoor entertainment permitting done so we can let our abutters know, our neighbors know what's happening. But yes, Director Caulfield has all this information, and as the events get closer, he'll be working with Chief Wayner for
You
any
need to
details.
touch base with fire and EMS too, and
Right. Yeah.
detail? Okay, yeah, I know Jack's on top of things.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Any
So,
further-
the one other thing is during the Bison Fest, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the Saturday, April 27th, we will just have an outdoor microphone and speaker for a volleyball tournament that we're doing, alumni and current students.
Right up
So-
Marcy's alley. Right up Marcy's alley. Volleyball. I just one question, Lynn, before I call it to a vote. What's Taste of Dudley? Can you give a little synopsis?
We ask different vendors in the area to come in, like Jimmy's Pizza, Sonny's Hot Dogs. We have Sodexo does something there, so it's all different little restaurants that the students like to go to. So we try to get them to come to campus. They set up on the quad, and they have taste testings.
Oh, good. Nice.
I want to give you credit for the creativity of your programming.
Thank you.
All right, I really, seriously, I've been,
Our Director of Student Involvement and our Student Life people work very hard to.
I was
try-
in that line for, as you know,
Right,
21, 22 years at Worcester State, and it was always a challenge to find new, safe
right.
programming as we transitioned from everything being alcohol-related to
Right.
what's politically correct, you know? So congratulations on that
Thank you.
creativity.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Lynn? Hearing none. All in favor of granting the requests
As listed?
as listed in red? All say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Lynn, before you go, I was going to do in Selectmen comments. I'm glad you're here tonight. Again, I know I speak for the board and the town. Congratulations on the basketball team. Heck of a
Oh, thank
year.
We're very proud of them.
They had a great year. Some of those kids I've been following, I've seen a few of the games,
Yeah.
and one win away from getting a shot at the big dance, but you know what?
But they finished 29-3?
Yeah, but they were in the Elite Eight, the
Right, they were
Division
the
Three,
Elite Eight,
yeah.
and they lost.
And
Yeah.
they did very well. We're very, very proud of
Yeah.
all of our athletes and especially the men's basketball team.
Did a nice job.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's give us a couple of seconds, people. We're just gonna sign these. Michelle can make copies.
Are we signing all 17 of these?
I don't think it's 17, some of them were piggybacked on
Whatever the
there.
hell it is.
Yep.
Hey, you read them.
Did a nice job reading it too, Mr. Joseph.
Sweet mother of Mary.
Good thing there was only one kid.
Yeah.
So while Paul's finishing that up, I will call for the public hearing. There'll be a public hearing on Monday, March 11, 2019, at 6:35 at the Dudley Municipal Complex, 71 West Main Street, in room 321A. The purpose of this hearing to act on the application for an all-alcohol liquor license for Warren Desjardins DBA The Outpost Pub LLC, located at 59 Schofield Ave, Dudley, Mass. 01571. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at this date and time specified or submit their concerns in writing, and at this point, I deem the hearing open. Gentlemen,
What's the time that you declare it open?
7:05. Michelle, we always ask, I see a copy on top of one person. They did get their certified abutters list and...
We got,
and-
there's quite a few of them that.
Okay. Good evening, gentlemen. You can state your name for the record and welcome.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Schaefer. I'm a business attorney, and congratulations on getting Warren's last name right.
It was perfect, by the way.
It was
My
excellent.
grandmother was a shellafoo. I heard it all the time growing
Oh,
up
it
as a
was very,
kid.
very well done. I've hacked it quite a few times.
I'm sorry, who's going to be the permittee?
The permittee,
Yeah, ultimately?
Warren.
All right, and we have his name in writing somewhere, Michelle? Do we have that under the,
Under
It's on the public hearing notice.
Warren, see it under the public
On
hearing?
the,
is it underneath? I just want to be sure.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, got it.
So the background, and I'm sure you're aware of the Gaslight Tavern on Schofield. We got into this transaction several months ago. At that time, there was a broker involved, and that transaction appeared as though we would be buying the business directly from the former owner. Unfortunately, there were complications. One example is that the State Department of Revenue had placed a lien on the assets, some tax issues, and also the lease was being foreclosed. So we had to move in a different direction of dealing directly with the landlord, the owner of the lease, so to speak, for the facility. And I'm proud to say that that individual did quite a bit of due diligence. I think Warren was third on the list of people he talked to. He was very selective about the tenant that he wanted. And fortunately, we were able to do business with that individual. We have the lease, and we've been negotiating with the Department of Revenue and doing basically all of our due diligence on what are the barriers to actually being able to open the business as Outpost, new name. And I did want to say publicly, thank you very much, Michelle, because you've been terrific helping us through the process, just to guide us along the way.
Absolutely, thank you.
And if you have questions for Warren, I'm sure he's prepared to answer them. And I'm certainly happy to answer any questions as well.
Yep, I have a couple just generic background ones. Warren, you can tell us a little bit about yourself. Doesn't have to be too specific. You're from the area, from town, like...
No, I live in Worcester. We have, my wife and I have a daycare center that we have in Marlborough, and it's similar to how this started, or how I'm hoping to start this. She worked in a daycare center, it went under, we acquired it, and then in 5 years it had 20 people and now has about 90 kids in it, and her and I put together that. It's about 5 years now that that's been going, and that's finally up and going on its own now. The director and my wife and I wanted to look at another business to start, is how we first started looking into it. We haven't, with the Marlborough area, as much as I like it, we're looking more for a sense of community and where we're going to move to next. We're looking to buy a house, and we were looking in different areas. One of the houses that we're looking at is in this area. And then we happened to start looking at businesses, and I found the Gaslight, and that's how we got started into that. My personal history of how I used to work at Skidmore College in the cafeteria, and I used to run the catering, so I've done some the catering and food and serving beer and wine. And my wife, who is also going to be helping on this, has been a bartender in Marlboro and on a couple golf courses. So I feel we have some experience in it, not only of just starting a business, but also in working in this area of work.
Okay. Mr. Joseph?
So you're going from a daycare center to a bar?
Of what my personal business was Office Depot. I'm a salesman. I sell office supplies to like towns, cities, organizations, and stuff like that.
Okay. So can you tell us, no, let me ask it differently. Did you observe at any time the operations or do any research on the operations of the Gaslight prior to purchasing it? Because there were some good employees there.
Yeah.
And how will the outpost differ from the Gaslight?
I had been there several times, mostly in the afternoon, like 2 to like 5-ish of that time frame, probably on 3 different occasions. One of the reasons I also liked it is I don't know, I can't remember a lot of the names on the site, but there's one guy they called the mayor that I got along with really well, and I actually liked a lot of the people that were there. But how it would differ is I just feel like it got run down and it wasn't putting money back into it, and I think that's the number one thing. I mean, basically the walls, the floor, I mean, it needs a makeover, and that's what I intend to do to it. Future, I would like to, like some of my history isn't cooking, and the kitchen isn't able to now, but in the future I would like to be able to put in a small kitchen there and serve food. I feel that's just a better one. Part of what I want to do is, like with my wife's center, we've built a community, and that's kind of what I want to get involved in and do, and I just feel like a place to eat and drink and not just a bar is what I would like to do at the place.
So with your experience in food service and catering at Skidmore,
Mm-hmm.
can we look forward to a new facility called the Outpost that will have pub food that challenges the taste buds and is something to be followed?
Yeah,
Can we look forward to that?
I would like to very much. I don't want to get too aggressive on, because the price of putting hoods in and stuff in the back is quite expensive, but I want to see what we can do and slowly grow it. But yeah, absolutely. My a cousin who's going to be helping me with this owns a couple restaurants in Florida called Brew Burgers, and he has some pretty crazy concoctions that are quite hot down there. So I want to take some of that and do that here if I can.
Well, if you can move Red Robin's Burgers to the Outpost, you'll be very successful.
Yes.
Right?
Make a note of that.
So without getting too technical, my expertise, I worked at a bar for a long time, in town, local, and only recently gave it up. That's why I'm able to sit here. But the gentleman to my left, I would classify as more than just an amateur beer connoisseur. Kerry has been published before on,
You're awesome, Sully. Thank you.
but I'm sure he has some more technical questions than I would. So I'm going to turn it to Kerry.
Oh, no, he's going to serve whatever he's going to serve for beer. I wrote a craft beer article many moons ago.
Well, you'd be a person I would like to talk to, because I would like to. I've heard that there's a couple breweries in the area, and I would like to discuss with putting some different stuff in there. When I was there, it was just very basic, and there's not enough room to go extravagant. There's 6 taps, but I would like to use 2 or 3 of those for something in the area or local, if they'll allow it. I know some of them is just their thing, but I can't ask, and I've been able to make deals with some people in the past just by asking.
Another question too, something I think, Dudley, we need to look at, but in our rules and regs, we currently do not call for everybody to be tip certified. Is that one of your goals? Everyone's going to be tip certified before they start?
Yeah, absolutely. Tip certified, and I'm ServSafe qualified at the
Yeah,
manager
manager.
level, because we also run the food from the daycare.
Right.
So I also have that as well.
And you can take, that certificate goes anywhere, right?
Correct,
Right.
yes.
I didn't know we didn't have that.
It's not in our regs. It will be.
That's something we should probably look at.
It's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
That's
to-
okay.
I think it's pretty standard, like you said, if it's
Yeah,
not in
most
most
towns
places,
have
it will be, and I would absolutely require it.
Right.
A lot of insurance companies will ding you if you don't,
Well,
if
that's
I
the thing.
remember right.
I mean, we don't have it, but it's something I know we're gonna look at.
I've got a question, Mr. Chairman, one
Yeah, obviously you haven't opened yet, so you really probably don't know your staffing level. There's a colorful history at that establishment, and just curious as to, like, do you have like even like a game plan, based, like, the place I used to work at, we looked at our square footage, your occupancy, we'd have people on to help staff, not so much servers, but doorman type, security type. I mean, is that something you're gonna,
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
in your business
And
plan.
I'm hoping that, from talking to some of the people, that there were some very good bartenders that I'd heard, and to come back, I would be totally open to. I'm not coming in with a crew of people that I'm saying everybody's out and this is how it's gonna be. Because mostly I want the same community. I'm looking to kind of keep it the same. When I talked to Spiro, I want to run it totally different than he did. I don't agree with that method, but I liked when I talked to him that he wasn't looking for like the, I don't mean this kind of thing, but some of the Nichols College, some of the younger, I don't really want to get into that, and some of them learning how to drink in that community. I'm looking for a little bit different.
right, and that happened at other establishments. Sometimes they got a little overwhelmed because they were known as the place, that's where, and
Right.
not that every 22-year-old, I mean, I have 3 kids in their early 20s, not that every 22-year-old is not the business you want, but 200 at one time may not be
Yes, absolutely.
what you want. Terry?
Question, do we need to see a lease or anything? I'm just thinking, the paperwork I see here, and I'm not saying you don't have.
No, I dropped it off a little late to her, so.
Oh, no, we've got it, I don't need to. I just wanted to say, because everything I see here,
It was long.
I mean, somebody could just write down, hey, I want a liquor license for this
It was
address.
quite a long lease. It wasn't,
Have a
it's
folder if you wanna look.
No, that's fine.
Who's
As
the
long as
land-
we've got it, I just
who's the
wanted to make sure
landlord?
we got it.
Joseph, I'm probably gonna butcher his last name, Gaid or Jaid, G-A-I-D.
I didn't know that.
He owns a bunch of,
He owns a bunch of strip malls,
Strip
I think he's out of
yes.
Ashland.
Yeah, he bought it from the Boudreaux's a couple of years ago. I think
Okay.
Boudreaux's owned that.
I'm just curious.
yeah, no, and he changed it. It was quite basic, to your point. It should be nice, easy, and he went to a much more commercial lease, which is very long.
No, I just want to make sure
Yes.
we've got it, that's
We
fine,
have one.
Yeah,
that's
it's-
fine.
All right.
It's a lot of-
I had to ask. I had to ask.
It's generally something we let go through the process.
But if you want some help with craft beer
Does
stuff,
anybody
I'd
else
be
have
more
any
than
questions?
happy.
I actually would, yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
Billy's here 'cause he's
More than happy to help you.
I'm going to ask our professionals first. You guys on board with it all? Got a chance to look at anything? Is there occupancy trigger the sprinkler? They have sprinklers there anyway, right?
I thought there was in the roof, because you could see, there was some leaking.
Right. All their lights, emergency lights. I'm sure, all right. Perfect. At this point, if the board's all set, I'll open up to abutters. I see at least one abutter here, who may have some questions. Come on up, Willie.
Good evening, Board. William LePage. I live on Second Ave. I also own a building directly across the street on Schofield Ave, across from the former Gaslight. Sounds like he has a pretty good business plan, and I think it'd be a good thing for Dudley. I just asked him to take into consideration. It sounds like he is trying to create a different environment from what was there before, which is great, because we had a lot of problem with, I have the building across the street, my father lives in it, and we had a problem on one occasion where an intoxicated person went over to his house, onto his porch, trying to steal his dog. I'm sure you guys are all aware of the motorcycle situation, the drag racing in the parking lot and stuff like that. So I just asked, take in consideration. It seemed like the smoking area was pretty much in front of the building, and I could even hear it on Second Ave where I live, kind of echoes through the neighborhood. So I don't know if maybe, you know, a plan of maybe moving it to the back of the building where there's nothing behind it, or, that was my only concern. My father lives across the street, like I said, he's elderly, he has health conditions, and I know it's a bar. I know, you know, I've been to the Gaslight, you know, and, so that's all, just the noise situation.
Is that something you folks would consider, like, in either completely discouraging it or encouraging the patrons to smoke out the back?
If I could, yeah. And I actually talked to Joseph about the back, and it needs to be fixed up. He was talking about fixing the steps up to it and making it nicer, but I would much prefer if anybody smoked out the back than the front. I don't think it's a great look of having it hanging. I want to encourage people to come in, and I feel in general a bunch of people hanging out, smoking in front of a door, it discourages people to drive by and stop in my place. So, I would also encourage, if you do have any issues, please come talk to me. I will be there all the time, and I'm totally open to you coming in and me putting a stop to that kind of unacceptable behavior.
No, it sounds like you got a great plan, and, you know, I think it's one of the things Dudley needs is more little businesses like that moving into town. What a
Thank you.
good plan. That's all.
Thanks, Willie.
Thanks.
Mr. Belkunis?
If everything goes to plan, what's your anticipated opening date?
I would like as soon as possible. I've already talked about getting people in to look at the construction, so I'm guessing on some of those timeframes about a month to do all the work. I don't want to be presumptuous of how long
Yeah.
it takes to go.
Optimistically?
I would like to inside of 3 months, but I understand that.
Yeah, this thing's out of your hands. The
Yeah.
licensing goes into Boston.
But it gives me enough time, though. The big thing is I wanted to fix up some of the place. That flooring is going to be easier to do, obviously, when no one's in there. And those walls need to be patched and repainted and fixed.
Excellent. Public safety all set? Okay. Goes by occupancy, right, plus square footage? Right. Water sewer good? Any further questions for the applicant? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing at 7:23. We're going to act out of order on the agenda, as we said before, so what's the board's pleasure on the granting?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move that we grant a common victualer's license, an orchestra entertainment license, a pool table license, a jukebox license, all to the Outpost Pub LLC, 59 Schofield Ave in Dudley.
Greg, before I take a second, the public hearing was for the all alcohol. We have to do that first?
Yeah, I would suggest you vote that first, so just hold on the motion and vote on the issuance of the new alcohol, all alcohol
Let's make
restaurant
it easy.
license at the premises.
And that we also grant an all-alcohol license,
Can we do
a
that?
new all-alcohol license.
Do,
Restaurant, the Outpost Pub LLC, 59 Schofield Ave.
as long as you handle it that as a single motion, you're fine.
All right, so just have
Just
the,
make a note, a clarification that the motion on the all alcohol license is a separate individual motion, and you're fine.
all right, so that was a motion for the all alcohol liquor license?
Second.
Second, any further questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. And the second one is to grant the aforementioned other...
Common victualer's license, orchestra entertainment license, pool table license, and jukebox license to the Outpost Pub LLC, 59 Schofield Ave.
Motion made and
Seconded.
seconded. Any further questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Congratulations, gentlemen. You've cleared your second biggest hurdle.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
I'm just gonna sign these real quick.
Yep.
He's busy, huh? Comes down a foam dance if it's in the rain. Foam's not gonna survive.
So far tonight, we gave people an opportunity to go work up a sweat,
Good night, Bill.
Yeah.
work up a thirst, and we've given them another opportunity to find a place to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good guys. No comment?
No, no comment. I don't know where you're going. Are you done?
Not
I don't
yet.
know where you're going with that.
I missed my foil. Telling you, I'm off my game tonight. Next up is public business, award the bid for re-roofing municipal complex to commercial roofing and contracting. Greg?
In the packet is a copy of the bid. The amount is $364,000, as I mentioned to you previously. Checked out the references submitted along with the bid, and they are in order. And you'll also see that we were able to identify some additional funds. So the bid is $364,000, of which $343,145 will come from our capital budget that we reserved for the roof project. We'll utilize $19,551 from an Executive Office of Public Safety grant for repairs to the municipal center. And then thirdly, we'll utilize $1,303.83 from our municipal expenses budget. That will get us to our target and allow this project to proceed, and I hope that you would agree that that's certainly good news.
Yeah, it is, and, again, I feel like we're on the defensive a lot of times. People out there that are misinformed or didn't maybe understand the newspaper article, this is not anything to do with your Board of Selectmen and your town administrator. The bids,
What's that?
no, people think we're spending the money willy-nilly. The bids all came in over the estimated amount.
So we estimated, we were hoping that this was gonna be a $300,000 project. It turned out we received, I believe it was 8 bids. Certainly, this was not a small project. Some of the bids were significantly higher than what we had budget money for. I've said, and this was voted at town meeting and approved by town meeting, so that was the process where this money came from. Originally, we had money, $450,000 to complete the roof project and also to complete some repairs to the HVAC or air conditioning system to the building. We did finish the air conditioning project last summer, and bids came in higher than what we thought, but the bid of $364,000 is still a good bid. And if we were to delay this project and put it out to bid in June, I would stake my reputation that the price would be higher than $364,000.
So Greg, are you looking for a motion tonight to award the bid for re-roofing the DMC to Commercial Roofing and Contracting, Inc., in the amount of $364,000?
I am, and if you could also include in there that you authorize the town administrator to sign the contracts that allow us to get this project going as quick as possible.
All right, so you got the first part of my motion, Michelle.
I do.
The second part is, and to authorize the town administrator to sign the contract on behalf of the town so that we can begin this project as soon as possible. You okay with that?
I am. But I wanted to add a couple of 2 cents. I didn't realize the item was controversial in our social media accounts. It's a 25-year roof, and it's removal of the existing roofing and also removal of the wet insulation that's underneath the existing roofing that we identified when we had an infrared scan of the roof done this past fall. So we don't feel as though we're spending money willy-nilly. What we're doing is we're getting a roof that will suit the needs, long-term needs of this building. And we're removing areas that were, that had become wet and damaged. And anyone that's been through this building when it is raining will notice that we have an abundance of buckets and drop cloths and things like that on the 3rd floor. And this gives us a tight building. And I can't tell you enough in terms of the fact that it's necessary to do this sooner than later. I think delaying the project will result in costs going higher.
Right, I mean, I don't know so much social media stuff, I just know I had a few calls and comments, and generally I call it basically the silent majority, like they
So-
only come out when they think there's some kind of persecution, or,
So it's a prevailing wage job. So that results in costs being higher than your average roofer. There are requirements for bonding and insurance. So the person needs to be able to have capacity to provide a performance and payment bond to the town and the amount of the contract. So that means it has to be a larger company. We don't decide that, but that's decided by the fact that it falls into a certain size project, which is regulated by the bidding laws. And then lastly, they need to be able to have the proper insurance to ensure that the project is done right. We did not pick a cheap roof. We did not specify that the materials were involved were cheap. We specified that we wanted to have a quality roof that would last us 25 years, and that's what we're going to get here.
Perfect. Any questions? Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Next up, consideration of agreement with Ora Finn and the Mass General Law, Chapter 41, 107. I believe this is what we discussed about Ora working beyond her retirement date to ease the transition.
We previously discussed this in public meeting,
We did, she was in.
right?
Right. We have to
So
discuss
your
the-
proposal is to do what, Mr.
So
Chairman?
she would, Ms. Finn would remain on after the election for a transition period between June 17th and June 28th, a relatively short period of time. She'd be available 35 hours during that period of time, and she'd be compensated at the amount of her hourly rate that it is today. So,
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna, this is a no-brainer. And Mass General Law specifically permits this to be done specifically for smooth transition of a town clerk's office. So I'm gonna move that we authorize the town administrator to enter into an agreement with Ora Finn to provide transitional services at her regular pay for 35 hours a week from June 17th to June 28th, 2019.
second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, and in advance, I know I speak for the board, we thank Ora for her time to aid in the transition. Next up, board member comments. Mr. Joseph.
I got one.
Sir.
In our packet, we received a no trespass notice issued by a citizen, a resident, a landowner in town, actually two of them, that it is Anna and David Durgan, 68 Eagle Drive. And the no trespass notice, which is legal, is issued to Nelson Burlingame, who is our building inspector. Now, while I understand any citizen can do this, I also understand that in my 15 years as a selectman, I've never seen this before. So my question is, and strictly for a question, if Mr. Burlingame needs to go on that property to conduct business, town business, that either the state law or town bylaws or this board authorizes, what happens under these circumstances?
I'm just going to interject for a minute before Greg. We did have a small conversation about this. I'll let Greg lay out his solution, but I also want to state publicly, and I know I speak for the board, like I told the lady tonight, we stand behind our town officials. We stand behind the work-
Nelson.
all of them, Nelson included. We stand
Absolutely.
behind the work they do, the quality, the professionalism. We heard it at least a half a dozen times tonight, individual people being recognized. And although I'm not involved intimately, I was made aware of a meeting of a different board last week. And I just publicly want to state that Nelson Burlingame and all officials have the 100% support of the town in the lawful duties that they perform for us.
I personally want to echo that.
Mr. Singanavich.
No, I'm pointing out the police chief. for
Chief.
innocent.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just some follow-up information on that, because we had, we received that notice when it came in. So one of the things I had done was check with the district attorney's office, just for the legalities of it, because my opinion on it was that it wasn't a valid document. And so their opinion was the same, that you cannot use something such as that to bar a public official from the official performance of their duties. So the way it was explained to me, just for a point of analogy, was you can't get a trespass notice against the police department and say you can't come to my house and arrest me. That's kind of the way it breaks down. So you can't just use that as a means to keep people from your premises, so.
Which, by the way, is the example I used on the phone. I said, so they're telling us if they have something going on with the police or fire, have to get there. We don't like you, you can't come.
Exactly. So they're more or less designed for, neighbor disputes, property issues, or if you're having conflicts with people, the lawful owner of a premises, and you don't want someone to come on your property, more or less civil things, but anything to do with a local official and the official performance of their state authorized duties, no. Thank you.
Oh, I'm just gonna lean to Greg for
So
a second.
Paul, I'll talk in kind of general terms, because as companion to the no trespass order, we've also received something called the notice of a claim, where the same resident has indicated that they wish to initiate a lawsuit against the town of Dudley. So please understand, in that sense, I don't want to say too much.
Okay.
However, I have talked to Nelson, and I've suggested to him that if he's merely serving notice of zoning violation, that can be done via certified mail return receipt requested. I would prefer that he not go on to the property for the purpose of simply providing service. It can be done through the mail, it can be done easily through the mail, and I certainly don't want to in any way annoy or aggravate people unnecessarily. So we are comfortable with that solution. If he's required to go out and do an inspection, as the chief said, he certainly has that right to do so. But for the purposes of serving zoning violation notices, we'll go through the mail process.
So that's allowed under the law, because what if the person doesn't claim that certified?
Yeah, so that's always a controversy.
The only proof
That's
you
what-
have is that,
You can send it by a certified mail return receipt. And it's my experience throughout my career that people never like to pick up certified mail. So if it ever gets to the point of litigation-approved process, the receipt is sufficient to deem to be accepted when you send it by certified mail. And you save that letter that comes back to you that indicates it
so
hasn't
if the
been.
person ever comes forward and says, I never received that notice.
Yeah, and I'm gonna act in good faith and say that the person that I've talked to this person, and I haven't talked to him, but we've exchanged emails, and seems to be on top of things in terms of responding back to me. So, again, we did receive a letter. A letter indicates that they intend to deny, file a lawsuit against the town for denying the town's lawful right to farm. This is a zoning violation. This is a zoning enforcement matter. And that's what this is. This is a zoning enforcement matter. This is the town looking to enforce its zoning bylaw that was adopted by town meeting and approved by the Attorney General. This isn't Nelson going out on a witch hunt. This isn't some type of vendetta. This is trying to enforce what the citizens of this community have asked us to do. And we will defend that right to the fullest extent of the law.
Right, and I also strongly urge board members, other town officials, don't engage if you're approached. There was some talk that the applicant was gonna go to the local media with stories of persecution, and if anybody's contacted, I strongly recommend don't engage. All our official response should come out of the town administrator's office.
Well, we've done that in the past, and I agree with that. And I'll abide by that, because it's wise. However, I do not agree that Nelson should stay off of that property because of this cockamamie document. Okay? If Nelson Burlingame has to perform his duties as required by state law, by a town bylaw, by his job description, or by this board, then I expect that he will go on the property to faithfully perform those duties. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let someone say that doing that, conducting that properly, is harassment. It is not harassment. I won't accept that. So my preference is, Nelson, get out there and do your work, period.
Right, if Nelson feels it necessary to have support, he can certainly request escort,
Yep, absolutely.
you know? I mean, as far-fetched as any scenario could be, and I'm not going down that road too far, we see a lot of crazy things in the news, and if Nelson, anybody needs escort to perform their town duties, I'm sure it can be easily arranged with the office downstairs. Any other board member comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Sigenovich?
And it's good to have you back. I know Stan did a good job because I didn't hear anything. And we all know people sometimes they let us know when people do well, but they sure let us know when they don't, and my phone and email was quiet. And secondly, we're missing Mr. Marcy. Hope he gets well, and he'll be back here at the next meeting. That's all I have.
Good, Paul.
That's it.
Departmental communications, water sewer. Vinnie? Fire and EMS. Chief? Audio visual. You're good? All right. Greg, we good?
We would request that the board convene into an executive session
Correct.
related to collective bargaining or litigation purposes as they apply to the Dudley Police Association.
Chair will entertain a motion to convene an executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21, Subsection A, Subsection 3, to conduct strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body, the chair so declares.
So moved.
Moved. Second,
Second,
roll call.
Kerry Sigenovich, aye.
Paul Joseph, aye.
Stephen Sullivan, aye. Not to convene an open session, but the conclusion of executive will be the conclusion of
all.
our business.
Might want to open a new
Thank you,
file.
everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I know.
Just remember, there's two kinds of people in the world, those that are Irish and those that wish they were. Have a good night, y'all.